There's close to 70 million Iranians. They haven't been under siege for a decade plus like Iraq. They have high-tech weapons. They do have sleeper cells, as any large nation does in other countries. And this is the perfect storm. They attack Iran. They won't have to stage terror attacks once the war's on. Iran will strike back. It'll be called terrorism. And the system is going to use this crisis as a pretext to crack down on domestic populations in the U.S., grab pension funds, and do all the other things they do when we're distracted by a war. And so this is good for the system to start a war. And a lot of people like to rally around the flag when we are blowing the hell out of some poor group of brown people. And so I see the system going ahead with it. And all the indicators we've got out of Israel and out of the U.S. government is they are moving towards a full green light on this. What's your take on the green light and when you think it's coming and what the aftermath of this war will be?
Well, Alex, I don't think anyone knows when it's coming. I don't even think the people planning it know that because they're looking for some sort of rationale, excuse, opportunity. And the outcome, I don't think is known either. If I were the Iranians, I wouldn't sit there and wait for the attack. I mean, why respond after you've been badly hurt? Once I knew the attack was coming and nothing could be done about it, if I were the Iranians, I simply would take out the American aircraft carriers. I would let everything that I had fall on Israel, and I would start it. Because I wouldn't sit there and then respond with whatever I happen to have left after I've had a massive attack. You know, the other day, the head of the University of London's Center for International Affairs said that they're gearing up for the total destruction of Iran. You see, we've got troops in 10 countries surrounding Iran. We've stockpiled all these bunker buster bombs. Apparently, we've even moved tactical nuclear weapons.
Diego Garcia.
Yes. And so I don't think that they would be doing all of this just in order to scare Iran or pressure them.
No, this is a full court press, just like before the invasion of Iraq both times. And you're right. They've said that if Iran fights back in any way under Bush, and Obama's continued this doctrine, that they will use nuclear weapons on them. So if Iran lifts a hand to protect themselves, the media is going to scream like it's the end of the world. And I guess Americans are going to sit there while their cities are being nuked, feeling powerful and running American flags out on flagpoles. Meanwhile, the same global corporate crime syndicate is destroying America's future. So I guess in a way, if Americans go along with this war, I'm going to have to say we're cursed and we deserve for the bankers to rape us. But I don't deserve to be raped by them. So what do you do as an individual living in Nazi Germany?
Yes, you be quiet. Listen, Alex, you know, I think that if they do strike Iran in some horrendous way, one possibility would be that all of the colonized puppet state Muslims would feel so absolutely wronged and powerless that they could possibly overthrow the American puppets. You might see revolution in Egypt, in Jordan. You might see it even in Saudi Arabia. It's entirely possible that we would simply be going too far and undermine all the puppet regimes that we have already established there. So there are many potential downsides to this that don't appear to figure in the calculations of the Americans or the Israelis. And of course, if it disrupts oil in any significant way, that would be really detrimental.
Doctor, doesn't Israel losing in Lebanon 3.5 years ago and having other setbacks, I mean, doesn't that give them some pause before they just head us into World War III?
No, you see, if they get rid of Iran, then there's no one to support Hezbollah and Hamas. And so that's the other reason we didn't get to for the attack on Iran. It gets rid of all the support for the forces that block Israel from stealing all of Palestine and southern Lebanon. See, Israel is chomping at the bit to simply evict the few remaining Palestinians and to seize southern Lebanon.
Yeah, they want past the Golan and that water supply.
They want the water supply from southern Lebanon. So that's their stake in this war. They want Iran out of it because then once Hezbollah uses up whatever weapons it has, it wouldn't have any more. And there would be no way to stop them from simply...
How does Iran get the weapons in? Through Syria?
I don't know.
Why doesn't Iran just make a deal with Israel and have a peace treaty? I mean, because Iran is looking down the barrel of a nuclear bomb.
I don't know that either. You know, as I've said, there's so many imponderables, and they're not discussed. I mean, why does Russia stand aside?
Well, you said earlier Russia has now been betrayed. We know they've been trying to make deals with Barry Soetoro, known as Barack Obama, and that he's broken those. And then separately, we see the fear-mongering about these 11 Russian spies. You notice the Russian spies, and now Russia admits their spies, just want to do a swap, weren't infiltrating the government, because that's ceremonial. They were infiltrating Harvard and Wall Street, because that's who runs this country.
Well, you know, they're not accused of spying. They haven't done any spying. They're accused of not registering as a foreign agent. But, of course, AIPAC doesn't register as a foreign agent either. So, I'm very suspicious of that whole thing and what it's about. Clearly, it's not a case of spying because there's no spy charges brought against them. And
yeah, they're just agents of influence, which is just what business is.
But we don't even know they're that. And it's also suspicious to me, Alex, that one of them confessed so quickly. It's almost like he's put there to confess. So maybe this...
Yeah, like they rolled up a double agent.
That's it. So maybe this is just another way of pressuring Russia to keep them sort of on the defensive and sidelined while we proceed with the roll-up of Iran. Maybe that's the explanation, because it was very strange to have the Russian president here meeting with Obama in the White House, and the Russians are falling all over themselves trying to have good relations with us, despite us putting missile bases in Poland and everywhere else, surrounding them and turning Georgia into...
Yeah, there's new press reports of more than 10 U.S. bases being covertly built all around Russia, and this hoax. I've had neocons say that I'm a liar and that Russia did attack Georgia. I mean, even the CNN had to admit later, and Fox, that indeed Georgia had attacked South Ossetia, and that was all a hoax. I mean, it's incredible the baloney the American people are fed. I mean, I'm not for Russia. I'm an American. But I mean, I'm not going to sit here and lie and say that Russia attacked Georgia. I mean, it's like saying the moon's made out of cheese.
Right. But that's right. And the real question, though, you see, the European Union knows that. The European Union has made it clear that the Georgians, spurred on by the Americans, initiated that war. So why does the European Union continue to support the expansion of NATO? Why does it support the American war in Afghanistan? You know, they have European Union troops under the NATO flag fighting our battles in Afghanistan. So why? See, the real question is, why do all these countries who've got nothing to gain from this and potentially a tremendous amount to lose, why are they giving us the green light?
Well, we know why. We know why, and that's one reason that the director was snapped up and put in prison decades after his reported crime, is if you've seen the movie Ghost Rider, it's actually based on what's been declassified, that Tony Blair was MI6, and we know there's been a 50-year covert Western program to get the major leaders of Europe elected or compromised, and that much of Europe is run by U.S., British/Israeli puppets. And so that's why Europe goes along, because most of their leaders are actually U.S. intelligence.
That's probably the case, or certainly on the payroll. But why Russia and China? I mean, China is a very powerful state. They're our banker. Why do they?
Because they made sweetheart deals, as you know, in the 70s to get our industry, and so they're so deeply in bed with corporate interest that they just can't get out of bed.
But they have it now. They've got it. They don't need that anymore. They've got it. So maybe it's just they have a very short run time horizon on this particular issue, or maybe it's just tradition. Maybe they're just going along. You know, for a century after the Roman Empire fell, the little principalities that grew up, they still put Caesar's head on their coins. Because otherwise they thought people wouldn't trust the money. So maybe it's something like that everyone thinks that we're a superpower. We're not a superpower. Look, we can't finance our own wars.